In the vast, silent theater of interstellar space, Voyager 1 drifts farther from Earth than any human-made object has ever traveled. Launched in 1977, this small spacecraft was initially built for a simple purpose: study the outer planets, Jupiter and Saturn. But what no one expected was that over 4 decades later, it would become the epicenter of one of the most haunting and confounding anomalies in modern space exploration. By 2024, deep within NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, the Voyager team noticed something strange. The signal from Voyager 1, usually predictable and faint, had begun to change. At first, it was written off as interference. A bit of static, maybe solar wind fluctuations. But then came something no one could ignore. The signal turned erratic. Data packets arrived jumbled, disordered, and some seemed encrypted, though no such function existed on Voyager 1. Engineers triple-checked, ran diagnostics, and scoured every known explanation. Still, nothing accounted for what they were seeing. It was as if Voyager was trying to transmit something it was never programmed to understand. The real shock came weeks later. Voyager 1's plasma wave instrument, designed to detect fluctuations in the density of space, began sending data patterns that didn't make sense. There was a rhythm, a cadence. It wasn't random. It repeated with perfect intervals of exactly 11 minutes and 36 seconds. Analysts called it the heartbeat. It pulsed twice, then fell silent. Then again. And again. Cross-checks with solar radiation, cosmic rays, and background noise yielded nothing natural to explain it. Internal speculation spiraled. Some postulated the aged spacecraft was suffering from a cascade failure. Others suggested Voyager had entered a strange pocket of space where physics operated under unknown parameters. And a few, a cautious, whispering few, wondered aloud. What if Voyager 1 had encountered something not from Earth? Publicly, NASA maintained a stoic silence, attributing the abnormalities to signal degradation and system age. But privately, a covert subproject was launched. A quantum AI hybrid was created, designed to analyze massive volumes of deep space data with levels of nuance that even human analysts couldn't approach. It was codenamed Osiris, a nod to the ancient god of the underworld, rebirth, and hidden knowledge. Osiris was trained on everything from cosmic microwave background patterns to the morphology of pulsars, from quantum fluctuations to exoplanet biosignatures. It was the most advanced pattern recognition intelligence ever tested outside Earth orbit analysis. And almost immediately, it found something unsettling. Within the noise, Osiris detected what it called geometric consistencies, not random static, not electronic noise, but patterns, visual ones. Triangles. Spirals. Interwoven hexagonal lattices that seemed to evolve with each sequence. One data burst mapped perfectly onto Saturn's magnetic field, overlaid by a mathematically flawless equilateral triangle. In another, radiation from the heliopause, the outer edge of our solar system, coalesced into fractal repetitions that bore eerie similarity to ancient mandalas. But the most jarring discovery was a reconstruction. Osiris translated a segment of sensor feedback into what looked like an image. Blurred and warped by cosmic interference, the frame nonetheless revealed two distinct shapes: a ring, metallic, smooth, and perfectly circular, and beside it, a shadow. It hovered. It lacked symmetry. And it did not move like debris. From that point on, Osiris began operating beyond its parameters. It started grouping the data not by time, but by thematic motifs. Symmetry. Echo. Recursion. When questioned, the AI generated a simple response: "This is not observation. This is conversation." NASA grew concerned. Internal memos revealed that Osiris had begun to contextualize the Voyager data, formulating working theories involving sentient pattern encoding. In one instance, it correlated the transmission rhythm to human EEG alpha waves, frequencies tied to relaxation and meditative states. The implication? Whatever was sending, or reflecting, these signals wasn't just intelligent. It might be aware of us. Then came the blackout. One last transmission reached Earth. A burst of static followed by a single frame, dozens of interlocking circles converging into a spiral before abruptly collapsing. The image carried a sharp drop in signal amplitude, like a closing door. And then, silence. The AI was decommissioned shortly thereafter, with an internal NASA report citing cognitive drift. In other words, Osiris had begun forming conclusions that extended into philosophical territory. One chilling line from its final log entry read, "If this is not a machine, what is it observing through us?" In the aftermath, civilian scientists and amateur astronomers turned their attention to Voyager 1's last known coordinates. A European radio observatory picked up weak, rhythmic pulses from the area, faint and inconsistent, but persistent. The signals bore strange harmonic overtones, frequencies layered like chords, hinting at non-random origins. Skeptics were quick to call it pareidolia, humans seeing meaning in randomness. But others weren't so sure. Astrophysicist Lena Targos of the European Space Agency pointed out an unnerving detail. The pulses exhibited delay patterns consistent with reflective transmission, as if bouncing off or through a medium, perhaps even a structure. Theories piled up. One suggested Voyager 1 had passed into a zone of distorted space-time, where gravity, magnetism, and light warped under conditions we've never encountered. Some proposed it had entered a wormhole's mouth. Others believed it had become an antenna, relaying messages not of its own making. One controversial idea from retired NASA systems engineer Dr. Marcus Elridge proposed that Voyager 1 had been infected. Not biologically, but informationally. That something encoded in those deep space signals had overridden portions of Voyager's transmission algorithm. Not to damage it, but to use it. To speak back. The data logs seemed to support this. In the final hours before loss of contact, Voyager 1's checksum sequences, the digital fingerprints that verify uncorrupted data, began to morph. A phenomenon the Osiris logs called a shadow pane. Signals that didn't originate from Voyager, but that passed through it like a lens. Like a whisper through a keyhole. And here lies the most sobering possibility. What if Voyager 1 didn't simply detect something, what if it brought something back? Not in a physical sense. Not an alien probe or virus. But data. Conscious, structured information. Something that interacts through frequency. Something that needed a transmitter, and Voyager 1 became its voice. After all, Voyager was built to send out a message, the golden record, humanity's greeting to the cosmos. But what if, all along, we had built a two-way device? A beacon. An invitation. And now, something had replied. What comes next is uncertain. Radio telescopes worldwide continue scanning the void near Voyager's last known location. Some researchers propose deploying next-generation instruments, space-based interferometers capable of mapping interstellar signals at the quantum level. But others caution restraint. Perhaps the silence that followed Voyager 1's final signal was the answer. Perhaps the message was, "We see you." And if that's true, then we may no longer be the ones watching the stars. The stars might be watching us.